To all those that are watching this, I want to say that like my videos, are to give my personal experience of what I'm going through, and maybe somebody can relate, and maybe they can use it as some type of advice. Uh, maybe receive some type of comfort uh, through these videos, because I mean I've been looking for videos, similar videos, that way I can relate to, and I just can't find any, right? And so that's why I'm making these videos to so that people can relate, so that Christians are aware that the enemy is out there, and well, he doesn't rest. You know, the enemy exists. It's a very messed up. This is a very messed up world that we are born in. We're born in this world, and it's very messed up. It's a very, very ugly world. And as an adolescent, we don't we don't fully grasp a hold of the fact that the devil controls the world. We don't really grasp a hold of that fact. We have to, pass through a certain trial, you know, to really grasp a hold of it. To really grasp a hold of the fact that, you know what, this world is not fun and dandy. This world is not Canada. There is no United States of America and the land of the free. That doesn't exist. It has never existed to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, at one point, my mind was cloudy. I was a kid. I was an adolescent. You know, they had me in programs. But as an adult, none of that exists. You know, in the near future, I expect to obtain a moment of peace, a time of peace. But other than that, I can't, just because the enemy gives me money, allows me to have, you know, doesn't mean that the world's going to change. Doesn't mean that they're not going to, what I'm saying? Sometimes the enemy will give you money, will give you a whole lot of money. I've had money. I've had money. And I had the decision whether I was in TJ, and in TJ, there's call centers. I speak perfect English, well, not perfect, but good English, you know. Here in Mexico, some people say it's perfect, and so the call centers, there's a lot of money. There's a lot of money, and I was making good money. And so in TJ, it's funny because there's so much money there. It's a border town, Tijuana. Uh, there's a whole bunch of prostitution and a whole bunch of drugs. It's funny because all over Mexico there is no work. There's work, but I mean sometimes it's hard to find work, and that's why I went to TJ, because I knew that there was going to be money. Guess what? There is, but guess what? There's a whole lot of prostitutes, and a whole lot of drugs, and a whole lot of beer, and a whole lot of tourism. So the cops are very lenient. If you speak English, they're very lenient because it's a border town. They don't know if, they don't know if you're an American or not. They hear you speaking good English and they'll back away from you. And so there's this leniency, and so it's like it's very easy to be drinking, be, in public and all this. I told myself, no, I don't want to do that. What I would do was I would go buy a whole bunch of movies. I would go buy a whole bunch of movies, and I'll go to the supermarket and I'll buy a whole bunch of groceries, and I'll close my apartment for a week, sometimes even 2 weeks, watching movies. You know, the enemy would test you at times. I passed that test. I could have failed. I could have failed. I could have easily failed. Because there's a whole bunch of prostitutes. And they're not like, you know, in other parts of the country. They're very pretty. Very pretty. It's tempting. It's tempting. What helped me a lot was that I was going to church. But I could have failed. And so what I'm saying is that the enemy exists. The enemy exists. It's out there. You know, they are out there. You know, and their only objective is to condemn, to lead, to sin, little by little. You know, and what my topic is what is Illuminati? You know, so that everybody understands what is Illuminati. Illuminati is not like bankers. It's not like, how would you say it? It's not like wealthy, extremely wealthy individuals. You know what I'm saying? Or the higher part of each city, the higher societies of each city. You know what I'm saying? Societies are congregations. They're, you know what I'm saying? They're associations. These are societies. You know, something very simple to understand. You know, but when you're an adolescent and you're being bombarded with a whole bunch of information, it's very, very difficult, you know, to say what is Illuminati. Illuminati are secret societies that exist in every city. If I wouldn't have been moving from city to city to city to city, I constantly traveling, I'm never in the city for too long. You know, if I would have just stayed in one city, trust me, it would have been completely different. And well, now as an adult, I know this. You know, I know that I was being distracted by being moved from place to place, convinced, provoked, you know, coerced, whatever. So the secret societies, they exist in every city, in every town, you know, and they make up the foundation of what they are. Their members are 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30. All these individuals, they make up like all the youth. They're not aware that there's a, you know, when I was born, you know, I was unaware that the world had existed, you know, before I was born. It already had existed, you know. There already had been gangbangers, there already had been this, there already had been that. Everything already had happened. People were already, you know what I'm saying, united, established. These are the societies. And you're to say, what are you talking about? And for those that lost track, I'm going to explain it easier. For example, in a school, high school, junior high, whatever, there's these little groups that get formed unavoidably, some would say. Others won't. Others will say that these groups, they get formed by, how would you say it, by manipulation and etc. But anyways, these groups, these gothic, prep, nerds, etc., 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 rich people, poor people, black people, whatever. These groups, gangsters, these groups, they get formed unavoidably, supposedly. And it happens generation after generation. You know, that's simple to understand, right? Now, in the society, in adults, with adults, society is like a high school. When you start going to work, when you start becoming a part of a group, a part of a club, part of a congregation, an association, anything, you start to figure out, you start to become part of it. You know, sometimes churches, sometimes these associations, when you start to become part of it, they always give this face. They always give this, we are like this, and this is the way we are because of this or etc. For whatever reason, they always give this face. They always give this set of rules, this way of being. You get to know this as an adult, right? Is that easy to understand? Now, little by little, these groups, when you stay in them, when you stay in these groups, they start to have sex among each other. They start to have sex among each other. And then their rules change. They change. And they become orgy societies. It's hard to believe, but like what I'm saying is, for example, inside of a church, they're going to say that they're Christians. They're going to say that they're this. They're going to say that they're that they believe in God, They're going to say it. They're going to stick to it. But as you stay in the group, you'll have sex with one sister, and then you'll have sex with another. And then you'll start to, you know what I'm saying? Depending on how you lean toward the negativity, the enemy will guide you and will change things so that you feel comfortable. And so basically, depending on what you react to, they'll lean towards it, And for example, they'll turn into at the end of all that, whatever. I just deviated about what they will do when you actually present yourself and you're there, Regardless of all that, these societies are there, These societies of orgy societies, they're not churches, they're not this, they're not that. They're orgy societies. All of them. All of them are orgy societies. And you're to say you're crazy. You're crazy. Okay, that's okay. I understand. That's acceptable. I understand it. I would have said the same thing. But take into consideration what I have just said. My objective is to plant the seed so that your mind is open to reality. Okay. So these orgy societies that are there, they're different. They stand apart. Who are they? Pedophiles, homosexuals, rapists, aggression, lesbians, MILFs, etc., etc., etc. This exists. The world is a very fucked up world. Sorry about the word. But the world is a very messed up world. They exist in every city of the world. Pedophiles, homosexuals, lesbians. There is no Christian group. When you're young, you go to churches. thinking that they're groups, that they're Christians. They're not. They're not. You realize it. I've been through it. This is what there is. This is Illuminati. Secret societies that hide in, and they don't hide at night. You would think they're like faggots, like a whole bunch of faggots that only come out at night and shit. For some reason, are able to obtain these jobs that allows them to only come out at night. Some even work in schools. That's what I was about to say, is that they hide in schools, acting like civil people. Just the way they do in the church, they do in the schools. Having access to kids. This is what society is. As an adult, you come to accept it. As a Christian, you can't do nothing about it. You can't do nothing about it. As a Christian, you stand out, and everybody doesn't. Everybody, I feel like that one movie, Wake Up, where the little girl says, the others, they don't like us. And the other girl says, I know. And the little girl responds, why? This is societies. This is Illuminati. What I'm trying to explain. That there are very messed up people out there. That this is the world. That Christians are born into a very messed up world. And that there's nothing we can do about it. This is what exists. I know it sounds unbelievable. I know that it sounds crazy. I know that it sounds like a horror movie. Where prisons don't exist. Where prisons don't exist for bad people. And so I want to put it out there. I wanted to say that most people don't know. Most people go about their life and they don't understand. They don't know. They don't know that this exists. They don't know that this exists. I have the experience to say that it exists. This is what they do. They hide among everything, and there's nothing you can do. That they are society. Like, you can't do nothing. You can't squeeze a dollar out of a dime. You can't do nothing. They are society, and they're not a secret either. They're not a secret either. It's just like a neighborhood watch, but of a bunch of evil people. So basically, a Christian is born into a project full of condemned souls, and is waiting to get out. If these condemned souls inside this project somehow, within the time frame that they have, are able to convince, are able to provoke a Christian into sinning, into reacting, into creating an outburst, these set of individuals, the project, the neighborhood that you're in, you won't be able to come out. You know what I'm saying? So to speak. The objective is to remain calm, to pray, and to kill time, to maintain positive, how would you say, a positive lifestyle, and wait for time to pass. Because at the end of the day, regardless if it's an area or if it's a time frame, God exists. All power comes from him. And I believe that justice is a word, and that destiny is unstoppable. is unstoppable. And so you can't cheat death. You can't cheat death. The bad people, regardless of how many they are, regardless if they surround you and they're throwing indirects and they create this wicked beyond wicked environment, regardless of all that, you know what I'm saying? There's a God. There's a God, and He's big. He's, you know, when 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 push comes to shove, you know, there's nothing that, regardless of how many they are, if God's with you, no one could be against you, regardless of how loud they bark or how hard they bite. You know, I've learned that dogs, they die.